There is a saying that true art comes from pain. It's an expression of true emotions, passion, and often obsession. To many, Fitzcarraldo is an example of a masterpiece that was born out of madness.
The film has done a lot of damage to me.
1982 Fitzcarraldo is an adventure movie directed by German filmmaker Werner Herzog, known for his feature films, documentaries and writing. And the movie was based on a true story of Klaus Fitzcarraldo, a rubber baron who transported a ship of a massive land bridge in Peru for trading rubber. If, like me, you don't know what rubber baron is, it's not some kinky roleplay. I checked.
Hear me roar.
It's a businessman who trades rubber. Herzog wanted to recreate the story without using any special effects, so off they went into South America to film in Brazil and Peru. The problem started with arguments between tribes living in a shooting location and the crew. Herzog hired them as extras, but many people were from neighboring different tribes, which led to clashes. Plus, there were cultural clashes between the filming crew and the local indigenous groups. Sorting out the problems was constantly delaying the production. A big issue that the tribes had was with the main actor, Klaus Kinski, who played Fitzcarraldo. Now, apparently, they hated him, as he was a pain in the ass, and we'll get to that. And they even offered to kill him if Herzog would like to. He didn't take them up on the offer. But the director was not a saint, and according to Michael F. Brown, a professor in anthropology, even though Herzog hired the Aguarana people to work on the movie, he started to build sets on the land without permission from the tribe. It led to clashes between them and local militias and led to burning down of the set and further delays. But the South American location became one of the biggest issues plaguing the filming, with Herzog declaring the land itself was cursed.
It's like a curse weighing on an entire landscape. And whoever goes too deep into this has his share of that curse.
They built a camp in northern Peru, but after the dictatorship fell, the locals stormed it and burned it completely.
And I had built a camp, and it was for over 1,000 people, and it was attacked and burned to the ground, so I had to start all over again.
So the crew went into the rainforest to find a new location, miles from facilities and civilization.
Basically, all our equipment and all our resources would come all the way from Iquitos. The next town that you can call a town would be Pucallpa, at half the distance between Iquitos and Camisea.
It meant that supplies, food, medicine, as well as cast and crew had to use boats and planes to get to the location. And at points it was hundreds of people they had to feed, it was a nightmare.
The bulldozer cutting the path through the jungle uses 150 gallons of fuel a day. Fuel that has to be flown in by light plane and ferried up the river in dugout canoes.
Add to that unpredictable weather with rain that stopped the deliveries, rivers rising and falling, and constant threat of damaged equipment.
Before Herzog can get the ship back to camp, it runs aground on a sandbank. He can't film the final scenes in Iquitos without the ship, so he has to wait for the rainy season to flood the river and lift it off the sand.
So, with that many people in a camp, all the issues, something had to be done to just keep it under control. And apparently, a local priest advised getting sex workers to keep the men happy.
So even the Catholic priest has advised us to have some ladies here.
So they did. And it helped.
To have a prostitute in on my shooting location in the United States or in Germany, it would be ridiculous.
It was a different time, okay? It's not like it happens now in the industry, not at all. The story was as much about the Fitzcarraldo as the massive ship transported through the jungle. Without using special effects, Herzog wanted to recreate it. That means hiring locals as extras to move a 320-ton, 30-meter ship over a mountain from one river to the next.
Además tiene 3 pisos. ¿Quién va a poder empujarles? Tremendo barco. Si hasta una canoa no podemos jalarlo.
¿Ustedes tienen miedo que les va a pasar algo con el barco?
Tienen miedo de perder su vida.
It was between 1.5 kilometer and 2 kilometers distance with an upward elevation of 150 feet, so around 45 meters.
La metáfora central de mi película es que jalan un barco a un cerro prácticamente imposible.
Now it quickly became clear that it's not going to happen, so instead they used a tractor, pulling the ship up the hill and then filmed extras as if they were, actually moving it.
Laplace Martins, a Brazilian engineer, has worked out a complicated system to pull Herzog's ship over the hill with cables, pulleys, and the bulldozer. But the system is designed for a 20-degree slope. Herzog insists on 40 degrees.
But they couldn't get near the cables, they couldn't record the actual sound, it had to be added later. It was just too dangerous and noisy with the tractor. In the end, they pulled it off, even though it was the biggest cost of the budget. And I reckon if they were doing it now, green screen, CGI, and maybe some model ships would be the only thing that the studio could agree on. Let's now talk about the leading actor. At first, Herzog wanted Jack Nicholson to play Fitzcarraldo, but he was too expensive, so he got Jason Roberts to do it. But Roberts got ill. He had to go back to the States and they were on the lookout again. Herzog was musing on playing the role himself for a while, but in the end he decided on Klaus Kinski, with whom he had worked before on movies like Aguirre and Nosferatu. Kinski was a famous but controversial German actor, known for his unstable behavior and being extreme on sets. Herzog made a documentary about the relationship called My Best Fiend.
Ich bin nicht der offizielle Kirchen-Jesus.
War nicht ganz normal, aggressiv. Vom Charakter her war diabolisch.
And they had already shot 5 weeks of material with Jason Roberts, so they had to redo that. They were on a clock, right? But Kinski, he wasn't keen on making it easy for the crew, and apparently from day one he would behave erratically, screaming and shouting at everyone around him.
Schrei ich oder schrei ich nicht? Und du sagst es mir nicht, aber schrei aber nicht. Leg mich doch am Arsch weg. Der Moment ist überhaupt gekommen, wo ich dir in die Fresse haue. Was?
He pissed off the filming crew, the locals, the cinematographer, the tribal chiefs, everyone. It really was Herzog who kept them from doing something to him.
And he would know that this or else would mean he would be a dead man within 30 seconds flat.
It doesn't sound like a healthy work environment, but unfortunately there weren't any HR in the middle of the jungle available.
You can't go anywhere, you can't escape of this fucking stinking camp because you never know when they call you, because you have to be here because you're paid for.
Everyone was slowly going insane. But it wasn't just the lead that caused problems. So initially when Jason Roberts was cast as Fitzcarraldo, Herzog convinced Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones to play Wilbur, his assistant.
I lost my leading actor out of the film, Jason Robards, and his sidekick, Mick Jagger. He's the singer from the Rolling Stones.
He agreed and they shot several scenes with him.
Mick Jagger plays Fitzcarraldo's sidekick, a simple-minded actor named Wilbur.
But when Roberts got sick with dysentery and flew home, Kinski replaced him as Fitzcarraldo, and all of that had to be shot again. Jagger was away on tour and he couldn't fit it into his schedule, so essentially he was written out of the script.
And I have decided that I would not replace his part. You can't replace him. So I think that's a biggest loss that I have had in my career as someone who makes films.
And to this day, the director regrets not being able to work with Jagger on that movie. Also, Mario Adolf, who initially played the captain, had to be recast too.
Ich kauf dich einfach. Ich kauf dir eine Villa, stell dir noch eine Ferrari davor.
Herzog then called both Roberts and Adolf cowards who didn't want to film in a jungle, thus delaying the production and forcing the crew to start from scratch. But there were also problems with the locals, who, according to Herzog's diaries, would drink, steal, lie, and cause headaches for everyone else. Cowards or not, maybe Roberts and Adolf were onto something, because there were a lot of injuries and accidents during the filming. One local tribe member drowned, another died from a disease, crew member was paralyzed in a plane crash, and Thomas Mauch, a respected cinematographer, had to be stitched up without pain relief after injuring his hand. A snake bit a crew member, which resulted in his foot being amputated with a saw. There were injuries, illnesses, and accidents all the time, especially during the, ships moving over the mountain scene. Plus, the tribes fought with each other using bows and arrows.
And only 2 hours by speedboat from here, this attack occurred, and the man was hit with an arrow through the throat and on the leg, and his wife was hit 3 times.
Of course, not all accidents or injuries were reported, so we don't really know everything that happened in the jungle, but it definitely wasn't a paradise. Herzog said that the Aguaruna tribes were spreading rumors about the production, which put everyone in danger.
And they spread rumors we would slaughter them and take the grease out of their bodies and cook the grease, and that we would rape their women, and that we would do any kind of harm to them. Against all odds, Herzog released Fitzcarraldo in 1982 to critical acclaim, winning nominations and several awards in Germany, BAFTAs, Cannes, and it's now viewed as one of his masterpieces, so he pulled it off. And I think this story teaches us a lot about art and the lengths to which we go to create, to express ourselves. Because on the surface, it's just a film, it's just a movie. But as Herzog himself said, if I abandon this project, I would be a man without dreams, and I don't want to live like that. Thanks for watching. You can like, you can subscribe, you can comment if you want to, which helps us to make more movies like that. See ya.
What are your plans when this movie's all over? What are you going to be doing?
I shouldn't make movies anymore. Should go to a lunatic asylum right away.